So moving into the second half of the show, this song, you might hear the song underneath here on the audio bed, and I just want to send a shout out to my sister. This is Begin the Begin by REM. It's the first track off of Life's Rich Pageant. It's my sister's favorite REM song, and REM broke up this week. So that's a tough deal for my sister. It's a tough deal when your favorite band for decades breaks up. She's the first person I thought of. I love you, Mookie. Keep on keeping on. Begin the Begin right here. So moving into the second half of the show, and remember, you can always catch us on YouTube. You can find the podcast on iTunes. Subscribe. Link up with me on Twitter at BGraft. Link up with me on Facebook. Join the fan group on Facebook. Do all that stuff. So, second half of the show here, we're looking at college football, and we're going to do some listener questions. College football is going to be an interesting week here because we're starting to get into conference games, and so you see a lot of good matchups coming out. Again, if you lead a sad life, if you only get to watch one college football game, if you don't have a DVR, if you can't watch them late at night when your girlfriend or wife or family's in bed, if you only get to watch one game, I really think number 7 Oklahoma State at number 8 Texas A&M is the game to watch. It's 3:30 p.m. Eastern Time on ABC. Just a programming note. If you click onto ABC and you got a different game, this will also be televised on ESPN2. If you don't have ESPN2, I'm not really sure how you get ABC in that cave under that rock you must be living in. So, just to the game. Just throwing out just some basic stats about this game. Oklahoma State's ranked first in the nation in passing, third in the nation for points scored, second in the nation for total team offense. So this is a team that really likes to put points on the board. Now, Texas A&M is ranked 9th in points against, and they're 10th in the nation in rushing defense, 15th in the nation in total team defense. So this is offense versus defense kind of thing. The problem is that A&M is ranked 51st in pass defense. Now, they've got a decent offense in Texas A&M too. So they're not too far behind OSU. So if they can keep it close defensively, they could turn this into a shootout that they can win. Because if you look on the other side of the ball, Oklahoma State really is not that great on defense. They're 92nd in the nation in total defense. So you could see Texas A&M running back Cyrus Gray. He must be excited for this game. He must be ready to run all over those guys. And these guys are both ranked in the top 10, mind you. This is the first time they've ever played where they're both ranked in the top 10. So a lot of tension, not to mention the fact that it's a conference game. So this is going to be a great game. It's in College Station in Texas, and that place goes ham. Shut the front door, College Station. That is a bananas place to go play college football. That place gets loud. It's awesome. So we're going to see. It's going to be very interesting. If they can turn this into a shootout, OSU's got a shot. But all A&M really needs is a couple of turnovers or a couple of stops, and they're going to have the advantage. So the players to watch in this, the OSU quarterback Brandon Whedon and their running back Joseph Randall. They got a wide receiver named Justin Blackman. Those guys should be getting theirs. Texas A&M, like we said, the running back Cyrus Gray and their quarterback Ryan Tannehill. These guys are really, really going to light it up. Both of these kind of have unnamed defense. You know, the defense is full of no names. But this is going to be a back and forth game. Should go up and down the field. I'm looking forward to that game. Now, if you by chance get an opportunity to watch 2 college football games on Saturday, the second college football game you should watch is number 11 Florida State at number 21 Clemson. Now, remember, Clemson knocked off Auburn, gave them their first loss in a very long time last week. This is a game that's on 3:30 p.m. Eastern on ESPN. Florida State, coming off of a disappointing loss to Oklahoma last week, but they played fairly well. They could have just as easily, walked out of that game with a win, Florida State. And their defense really stepped up for them. And it's going to be interesting to see what they do on the road at Clemson. And a real big question mark for them is going to be at quarterback, because if you remember their quarterback, E.J. Manuel, he left the game last week with an injury. So if he's out, this could be a no contest. But, it's really going to be interesting. And we're going to find out something about Clemson here, because even though they did beat Auburn, remember Auburn barely escaped Utah State. So is Clemson really that good, or is Auburn just really kind of mediocre? We're about to find out. FSU is definitely more talented, but they're on the road. So it's the first ACC game for both these teams, divisional matchup, a lot on the line. I think FSU wins this one, but if they don't, they could go from last week being ranked in the top 5. They've fallen in the rankings after a loss. They've fallen out of the top 10. They lose this game to Clemson, they might fall out of the top 25. And that's real tough. That's real tough. Plus then you're behind in the card in your own division. So that's going to be an interesting game to watch. Then if there's any way you can watch 3 college football games in one weekend, and that's tough, but if you can do it, number 2 LSU at number 16 West Virginia. Now, I don't really think this is going to be a game. I think ultimately we're going to end up with couches on fire in West Virginia, despite everything the fire marshals tried to do to stop that. That's a tradition in West Virginia. Really showing your roots, setting furniture on fire on your own campus. You stay classy, West Virginia. This is just real basic offense versus defense. I mean, LSU's got a fantastic defense. And, West Virginia is a team that likes to spread it around. They like to run that spread offense, and they throw the ball a lot. They've already gone over 1,000 yards this season. Their quarterback, Geno White, really spreads the ball around. And their head coach, Dana Holgorsen, he's the guy. He runs that spread offense. But we've already seen LSU handle one of those types of offenses in Oregon. So this is going to be an offense versus defense game. I really think LSU comes away from this one a winner. But anytime you get an opportunity to watch a defense that's playing that good, you got to watch it. I mean, the LSU defense has allowed no gain or stopped the other team for a loss on 47% of their opponent's plays. That's ridiculous. Almost half the time you snap the ball against LSU, you're running into a wall or you're going backwards. That's crazy. LSU already has 7 turnovers in 3 games. It's a great game to watch just to see LSU win this game. They're a fantastic football team. So that's your college football rundown. Finally, going to get to some user questions, or some listener questions, I should say. And finally going to talk a little bit of baseball, solely because of a listener question. Good friend of mine, loyal friend of mine, fan of the Muppets, fan of the show. My good friend Jeff David asked me a couple of questions about Major League Baseball. His first question was regarding, you may have seen it, the St. Louis Cardinals signed Lance Berkman to a 1-year deal earlier this week. He wants my take on that. And he also wants to know who the most underrated players on Major League Baseball playoff teams are, who the difference makers that we might not have heard of are going to be. So the first topic of Lance Berkman, I want every Cardinal fan in the listening audience, just buckle your seatbelt. You might need to put your wallet in your mouth. Just hang on tight, because it's about to get a little bumpy. We're going to hit some turbulence here. To me, when I saw that signing, that 1-year signing of an aging hitter whose natural position is first base, my first thought was, that's an insurance move. Because worst case scenario is you can't re-sign Albert Pujols. Now, who's going to play first base if you can't re-sign Albert Pujols? You got to figure something out quick. They got nobody in the farm system that's going to do it. They traded away their top first base prospect to Houston in the offseason, Brett Wallace. So you got to do something. So they sign the Big Puma, I believe, as an insurance policy. If the bidding war for Pujols in the offseason gets too pricey, they've got a fallback option. And that's all he is, a fallback option. And let's say you do sign Pujols. Well, now you've got Berkman for another year. You've, again, got that formidable lineup. I think Berkman's got good years left ahead of him, at least one good year. And that's all they gambled. So I like the signing. Last week, they locked up Chris Carpenter. So it looks to me like what the Cardinals are doing is they're trying to get all of their big free agent signings that aren't named Albert Pujols out of the way so that in the offseason they can really just focus on signing number 5. And that's good news if you're a Cardinal fan, but it's also got to kind of trouble you that they're already looking at the back door. So moving on to the underrated players on playoff teams. Remember, there are only 3 locked-in playoff teams right now. The New York Yankees, Detroit Tigers, and the Philadelphia Phillies. So for the Yankees, my guy is none other than rookie Ivan Nova. He's 16-4. He's got an ERA of 1.98 in September, and he's 8-0 in his last 10 games. Now, this is a guy you're not going to see in a short series, unless it's in a long relief situation. But in a 7-game series, if they can advance, he could become a factor. In Detroit, my guy is, they got this guy, Doug Fister. He's a pitcher. They got him from Seattle at the trade deadline. And since that trade, he's 7-1 with Detroit. He's got a .69 ERA in September. And in 9 out of his last 10 games, he's allowed less than 3 earned runs. That's fantastic. Now, Philly, this could go a lot of different directions, but the guy I'm going to take is John Mayberry, and not that John Mayberry, Cardinal fans. And what this guy is really a utility guy. He can play all the outfield positions, plays a little first base, but mostly he spells Raul Ibanez. And that's important because Ibanez does not hit lefties well. Mayberry hits .306 against lefties. Oh, did I mention he's hitting .341 in September? He can run a little too, so great ball player. He's my guy. The song number 46 in 1983, Naked Eyes, Always Something There to Remind Me. So that's the gig, y'all. Hope y'all enjoyed the show. Again, check us out on YouTube. thesportsUG is the channel. Subscribe, it helps us. Jump in there. Whatever you do, wherever you do it, do one thing. Keep right.
You have been listening to the Sports Underground Podcast. And don't forget, we always welcome your take. So hit Barron up on Twitter at bgraft, that's BGRAFFT, or send us an email at sportsunderground@gmail.com. If you like a download of this program, check us out on iTunes. Remember, come back again next time and get some.